This is absolutely huge for the New York Yankees. They could be eyeing a reunion with their former reliever, Chad Green, who is currently on the Toronto Blue Jays. We're going to get to all of that and more on this episode. But first, welcome to Yankees Digest. I'm your host, Gabby Gordon. And if you are among the 94.1% not currently subscribed to the channel, smash that subscribe button out of the park right now so that you never miss a beat. But without further ado, let's get straight into it like we always do here at Yankees Digest, because that is right. There are many reports, massive reports, that have revealed that the Yankees very well could be gearing up to make the deal with the Toronto Blue Jays to reacquire Chad Green. Now, as we know, Chad Green was the New York Yankees reliever just a few years ago, and he is now a Blue Jay, and this is kind of what his season has looked like thus far. What stands out to me first, you ask? Well, of course, it's got to be the 1.88 ERA. This guy has been consistent, and he has been a solid reliever for this team. And honestly, we'll get to the Yankee stats in just a minute, but he's really been consistent through his years in the league. There's been ups and downs, of course, but through 28 games, through 28.2 innings pitched, he's struck out 24 batters. He's got a 6 hits per 9 statistic there with 19 hits allowed. And he's 6'3", 33 years old, so he's kind of in the middle range of his MLB career. But look, Chad Green, old reliable, has worn pinstripes before. It's very possible. We talked about Jameson Taillon in the last video as well. The Yankees could be eyeing some old friends who could maybe make something happen here. Very possible. Here's the report from MLB Network. Quote, the Yankees are interested in a reunion with Chad Green, which makes sense on a number of levels. Let's just take a look at it. He's having an excellent season in Toronto. 1.88 ERA is nothing short of excellent. He can close or he can pitch earlier in leverage situations. He was a popular teammate in New York back in the day, and he's signed for 2025. So all things that point to this could make sense. What I want you to look at here is this. Yankees eyeing a reunion with Chad Green. Now, he's not going to be a rental player for the Yankees because he is under team control through 2025. So if this deal's getting done, it's getting done, and it's going to be long-term, somewhat long-term. But he has been very strong for, as we know, a poorly constructed Blue Jays roster. And again, the 1.88 ERA, 24 strikeouts, and a career-best 7 saves are all beautiful things to look at statistically. But what may be even more important to me and that stands out is what I highlighted for you here in blue. He's striking out batters at a 21.8% rate compared to his 8.2% walk rate. And his ERA this season is the second lowest mark of his career, behind the 1.83 he posted with the Yankees in 2017. Again, we're going to get to the Yankees statistics specifically very shortly. We'll look at that and look at what he did with his time in pinstripes. But these are very attractive statistics for many reasons. Doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. He's 33 and he's already been in this league. He's a veteran. He's been around the block, and he's been around the block for many years, and doesn't look like he's necessarily slowing down. So this is very intriguing to me, just as a fan, from a fan perspective, but also from an analytical perspective. These are some really good statistics and a very good trend that if he can keep going like this, what's not to love if you're Brian Cashman? Old reliable reunion with Chad Green. If we look a little bit deeper into analyzing his performance, he has an xERA of 4.35. Now, wait, before we go any further, if you do not know what xERA means, it is this. It's called expected ERA, and the definition from MLB.com is that it is a simple one-to-one translation of expected weighted on base average, converted to the ERA scale, right? So this takes into account the amount of contact and the quality of contact in an attempt to kind of credit the pitcher for the moment of contact, pitcher or hitter for the moment of contact, not for what might happen to that contact, like ballpark, weather, defense, right? So it kind of just puts numbers that are more familiar, and you can kind of compare it directly to the ERA. So if you look at the bottom, the xERA is not necessarily predictive, but if a pitcher has an xERA that is significantly higher than his actual ERA, that could raise a flag to kind of look into a little bit deeper how he suppressed those runs, right? What really was the mitigating factors. So back to the analyzing Chad Green's performance. He has an xERA of 4.35 and an xBA of 0.24. So he ranks in the bottom percentiles in barrel rate, hard hit rate, and ground ball rate, all metrics where you really do want your bullpen arm to excel in. So in other words, just to kind of, sum it all up, he's barely worth a minimum contract, let alone the $10.5 million per year the Yankees would be acquiring in a prospective deal. And this is going to look more like a salary dump for the Blue Jays because they're just going to absorb most of the contract to kind of move him. Obviously, as we know, the Blue Jays are going to be sellers come trade deadline, and they've just had a disgusting year sitting in last. All that stuff. Sorry to Jays Digest from the Digest media team, but it's tough out there for the Blue Jays fans, and, this is kind of what you got. But when we're analyzing it again, just looking a little bit deeper, analyzing Green's performance, and then basing it off of the definition of expected ERA, it's interesting for sure. Very, very interesting. But what I want to end on is this. I want to see and show you kind of what he has done through his career, right? So he started with the Yankees in 2016. And that was only 12 games started, 12 games played. And then, of course, picked it up in 2017. And this was the statistic that we just mentioned before, was that 1.83 ERA in 2017 through 40 games with the New York Yankees. And obviously his greatest season thus far. But he really is right back on track to do it in 2024, this season right now, right? Because you see afterwards 2.5, 4.17, 3.51, 3.12, 2022, 3.0, right? And then 2023, 5.25 kind of spiked up quite a bit. But he seems like he's brought it back down, right? He also only started 14 and 12 games played in 22 and 23. Now he's back on his regular workload. Things look like they're looking up for him. And this is what you get as a result. So really interesting trends here from Chad Green, and honestly that 1.88 ERA is really what's making me want this deal to happen. And besides the expected ERA, the actual ERA, and just the other statistics of strikeouts and walks and the strikeout to walk rate and how it's been so low, the lowest it's ever been right now in 2024 compared to all previous years, very, very intriguing stuff. So let me know in the comments what you think about Chad Green. Do you want him to come back to pinstripes? Do you want this reunion to happen? Or are you a little bit hesitant? As we know, he has had some trouble blowing games late, especially on the Yankees. That was definitely a storyline of him kind of letting the floodgates open and wasn't quite able to stop the bleeding in certain circumstances in New York. So let me know your thought process. Do you want Chad Green back in pinstripes, or are you all right with him staying in Toronto and letting someone else get that contract deal done with him? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your point of view. And hey, maybe I'll respond to some of you as well. But with all that being said, this has been Yankees Digest. I've been your host, Gabby Gordon. If you love what you see, you want to keep watching us cover all things New York Yankees, we got some crazy stuff, like crazy stuff going down in the Bronx. So you got to follow along. Hit that subscribe button right now so that you never miss a beat. I've been Gabby Gordon. This has been Yankees Digest, and I will catch you in the next one.